guess what day it is? It's my birthday. So I'm gonna give you an extra review as a little present. All right. Makes me sound like I have a huge ego and I think my reviews are awesome. No, this is just an extra review that you get to have this week because it's my birthday. So let's talk about Happy Birthday to Me. This came out in 1981 and it has 6 of the most bizarre murders you'll ever see. I find that very funny that a poster spoils how many people are going to die, but then when you watch it, you realize there's more than 6 people that die. I think like 8. So that's a lie right there. Another lie on the poster is it says like John will never eat shish kebab the same again or something along those lines. Like John will blah blah blah. It's like there's no character named John. None of these kids' names are John. Not that I'm aware of. I might be wrong, but I didn't hear anybody's name that was John. Nope, none. So there's 2 lies on the poster, and I don't think all 6 of the 8 murders that we see are the most bizarre I've ever seen. A couple of them are cool, but that's really about it. I don't think they're all that bizarre or interesting. But anyways, looking past that, this movie is a slasher whodunit, and it's directed by J. Lee Thompson. This guy was a veteran, seasoned director. That's what I want to say. Like he directed many movies before this, and this was like his first slasher movie that he ever directed. And he never directed a slasher movie again, I don't think. And this has Melissa Sue Anderson, who took a break from doing The Little House on the Prairie to make this. And the story is about a mysterious killer at this academy for rich and very special kids. Like these kids are supposed to be bright, like they're the brightest. We got these kids that all get this scarf because they're like the top 10. They're the most like, intelligent ones of them all. But yet every night they just drink until they pass out and do stupid shit like drive over drawbridges. These kids aren't that smart, so I'm not sure if they're just supposed to be like the richest kids or the smartest kids. Because they definitely ain't smart. But yeah, so we got the mysterious killer picking off these idiots one by one, and you don't know who it is. You kind of think it might be Melissa Sue Anderson, or there might be something else going on. And this movie is popular for its twist at the end, and I will discuss that much later on, but I'll try to keep this spoiler free for now. But yes, there is a twist in this movie about who the killer is and, how they're pulling off what they're doing. So I'll save that for later. Spoiler free for now. What are the things that I like about this cult classic slasher movie that isn't liked by Rotten Tomatoes? I was surprised to see that because I usually hear nothing but praise for this film. But then, of course, you look at the critics. IMDb, I think, is over 6, but Rotten Tomatoes is like 27% or some shit. So not that liked by critics, of course. But it has a fan base out there. There's a lot of people that love this movie. I think overall it's a good slasher, but it's not a great one. Like, this was my second time viewing, and I was very meh on it the first time, but I liked some things more this time around. So yeah, it's a good slasher, but it's not a fantastic one. I don't think it's great. It's not like the best one ever made, like there's plenty of better slashers in the early 80s in my opinion. But yeah, so let's get into the things that I like about this film. First up, this time around, I didn't notice how good the score is. I really liked it. It was very intense at times. I really dug it. It sounds like very orchestral and big budget. This movie, it has a bigger scope than most slashers. Like this seems like it had a very, decent production to it. Like they actually had like these action pieces with cars jumping over drawbridges. So it doesn't seem like a low scale, one setting, low budget horror slasher. This actually has a pretty decent, budget feel to it. So it's definitely different than most slashers. I'll say that. And another positive for the movie is just really the poster itself. Let's talk about that real quick. I already talked about the 2 lies on it, 6 of the most bizarre murders. There's more than 6 kills. John, there is no John. But what an awesome poster. And I read that they almost didn't use this one. There was a lot of people like trying to, market it in a different way. They didn't want to just make it look like it was all about the kills or something. They wanted to seem like it was a different movie. Let's not market it as a slasher. So they wanted to change it. But luckily, whoever was in charge, whoever had the final say said, nah, let's keep this shish kebab poster here. And thank God they did. Like, this is one of the more recognizable posters of all time. It's iconic at this point. I really like the third act. Really, it's really what saves the film for me, really, because the MPAA, unfortunately, had their way with this film. Once again, they fucked it up, just like they messed up a lot of other movies in the 80s. But the third act, I really like. It's, dark, atmospheric, creepy, in the setting towards the end, that creepy house. I think it's like a guest cottage. But yeah, just, I really like the third act with all the twists and stuff. And I think the twist is really what makes this movie stand out, too. It's just how ballsy it is. Like, this twist, you couldn't pull it off today. There's no fucking way. Modern day audiences would look at this twist and go, what? Fuck you. And they just shut it off. But in the 80s, you could get away with a lot more. Like, these are some ballsy twists in this movie. Like, and I read that this movie was written with a whole different other ending, but then they rewrote it like twice. And then, like, they hid the ending from the actors, and then the one character who ends up being the killer didn't even know that they were the killer until they were like shooting the scene. It's like, oh wait, I'm the killer. So it makes sense, hindsight, like once you know that and then you look at the film, it does feel like a movie that was rewritten, especially like the end. Like, it's just like, really? Okay. So, but yeah, I heard that they were going to go in this other direction that I'll get into later on. I'll explain all the different twist endings that I saw. But yeah, just really cool twist. There's some cool kills in the movie that I really liked, like, the bench press one, even though it's fucking ridiculous the way that scene plays out. But there's a couple of cool kills in here. They're creative, some that I've never seen done in other films. This movie also has, obviously, a Italian giallo influence, the way the killer wears, like, black leather gloves. It's a whodunit, and the weapon, the sharp implements that the killer uses, there's always like a gleam on it. I think the red herrings in this movie are done pretty good. Like, they make everybody a suspect. Like, in Scream, everybody's a suspect.
Everybody's a suspect!
Everybody's a suspect. There's red herrings that like die, but then they're not dead, and they come back, so they're red herrings again, and then just, it's crazy. There's a lot of red herrings in the movie. So I think that's done pretty good. And as for my negatives, this is too long of a slasher. This is an hour and 50 minutes, and there's scenes that on rewatch just are unnecessary. Like, the whole like guy going into Virginia's house just to sneak into her closet and then watch her shower and then and get her panties, and then that's it. Like, it's very drawn out. It's like supposed to be suspenseful. You don't know if he's the killer. Like, what's he doing? And then he just steals panties. It's a scene that drags out for way too long. It's just scenes like that that are just so pointless. And then like there's a long scene involving like soccer, and then there's so many scenes where I'm like, okay, that could have been trimmed. This scene's unnecessary. That's just whatever. Some of them are just there to like set up red herrings, but honestly, there's just a lot that could have been trimmed down. There's a lot of silly things in here too. Like plot conveniences, and the story overall can be convoluted towards the end. If you're not paying attention, you will be lost. Like, wait, who's that? And like, what's going on? The first time I watched this, I had no idea who this killer was. Once this killer was revealed, I was like, who's that? I completely forgot about this person's existence. I had to like go back and like, oh yeah, that person was in that scene, Okay. It's just like, who is this? So that just kind of tells you how forgettable these characters are too. Like, I can't really connect with any of them. They're all just douchebags. They're rich, preppy, just assholes. They just do dumb, reckless shit, and they just think they can get away with everything. And you just want them to die. I don't care about any of these characters. None of them are really funny. There's one guy who's like a makeup effects artist, and he looks very much like Arnie from Christine, that actor from like Jaws 2 and Dressed to Kill, looks just like him. Why didn't they just bring that guy in here? He could have played him. He looks just like him. But yeah, no gore. That's another thing that really sucks here. There's just no gore. There's so many cutaways. Like, there's like a second of blood here and there with each kill. But when you read into it, there was a lot that was cut out. And for a slasher movie, there's no nudity. Why is that? You got all these beautiful women. You could show some nudity. There's like a couple of shower scenes and like bath scenes. You could have showed somebody naked. Maybe not Melissa Sue Anderson, because she was doing a Little House on the Prairie, so I doubt she would have gotten naked. But some of these other girls could have gotten naked. Check that box. It's an early 80s slasher. You gotta check that box, but they don't. Final thoughts. I think this is a good slasher, but it's not a great slasher. It's missing some of those core elements, like I just said. Nudity. The girls are beautiful, but no TNA, no gore. MPAA had their way with it. Some of the kills are cool, iconic and memorable, but I just wish there was a few more frames in those kills. The red herrings are very good setup. Like you're going from person to person to person. And I'll give it a recommendation. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, it's a cult classic that is definitely worth watching at least once. So stream it or rent it at Redbox. Alright, so now let's go into the spoiler discussion. So, we open up with this girl, whose name I already forgot, whatever, I don't write names down, but this chick, she goes in her car and she leaves her keys in the glove box, like an idiot, and we get one of the most realistic strangulations I've ever seen in my life. Like, we don't get strangulations like this in film, where they actually, draw out, kind of like in Halloween with Annie. But in this one, she's put up one hell of a fight. She's kicking and, just grabbing at the horn, but the horn's not working or something. There's people walking by. It's a very well-directed scene. I really like that scene. And then, the killer, drags her into the back seat. And then she, opens up the door with, her foot. And she's, trying to kick the window open, too. But the glass won't break no matter what, no matter how hard she's trying. So it's just a very intense scene. And then she does something that blew my mind that I am surprised we don't see more often. She fakes her death. Once she realizes that she's basically a goner, she pretends like she's dead, and once the killer loosens, her grip, spoiler, it's the spoiler discussion, the killer is a woman. Once the killer loosens her grip, she's like, psych, and then she kicks the door open and runs away. And she only runs 20 feet, and then it just stops like she's in the clear. It's like, keep running, you moron. And then she runs straight into the killer, and she recognizes this killer, so that's a hint, so it's a familiar face. Somebody will probably be seen soon. And then she just gets her throat slit wide open. But yeah, I just really love that. The fact that she faked out the killer, I'm dead, and she was playing possum, just awesome. We need that more often. Do people really sing 100 bottles of beer on the wall? That's just ridiculous. We got this group of 60-plus-year-old old farts all drinking beer and just singing 52 bottles of beer on the wall, and then they lose their concentration, so they start over let's do it again. 1 bottle of beer on the wall. I would kick their ass too. This guy gets really pissed off, and I don't blame him. And then they get in a scuffle, they're getting kicked out of the bars, and then they see that this drawbridge is about to, separate, go up. And they're like, let's play the game. So they all get in their cars and they start driving over the drawbridge as it's going up. One guy just goes over when it's a little bit up, and then the fourth guy in line's like, fuck it, I want this $20. So he jumps the freaking ramp, crashes, destroys the front of his car, his Pontiac Trans Am, my dad's dream car, completely totals it, but whatever, he's rich, right? But he's doing this for $20. And once he gets out of his car, he doesn't even care about the damage that he just did. That car is not going to drive the same again. Yeah, totally wrecked it. And she's like, yeah, awesome. I made it. I survived. Now give me my $20. Dude, it's going to cost you way more than that to fix what you just did. That scene is so ridiculous. And then, of course, Virginia, she's getting PTSD because of, that was the drawbridge. That we find out later on why she was so upset. I mean, she would be upset no matter what. PTSD, whatever. Just with that aside, she should be upset anyways because he risked her life like a douchebag. If you want to be reckless and do that kind of stunt on your own, fine. It's your life. Do whatever you want. But when there's 2 people in your car that are telling you, stop, I don't want to do this crazy game, you let them out. So he's a douchebag. I'm glad he gets killed. So yeah, she gets out of the car, PTSD, that scared the shit out of her, and she runs to the cemetery. She's talking to her mom's grave. So she lives right next to the cemetery. That's a scary place to live. I would never want to live next to a cemetery, especially the one that is currently where my mom is buried. That's just sad. I don't want that. I don't want that next to me. The dad and the daughter, Virginia, the dad is in Bride of Chucky. He's that detective at the very end that gets killed by Glenn/Glinda. Their relationship in this movie is odd. Like they're so close to each other. The way they interact, the way they kiss. Like I think they kiss on the lips. Never in my family. There's probably some families out there where that's normal, but it's never been a thing in my family. Like a peck on the cheek at best. Lips, hell no. All right, that's your mom, that's your dad. Never on the lips. This just seems inappropriate to me. But not only her relationship with her dad is very close and awkward, and I get that they would grow closer once the mom's dead. They kind of have to, like, you know, bond together. They have to grieve together. So I understand that they're closer now more than ever. They need each other. But the way they are, it's borderline creepy to me. Like, it seems like it's a little inappropriate just how close they are. But also her relationship with her psychiatrist, who I heard was punching people on set. Like he punched his assistant director. He was an asshole. I don't know. That was just something interesting I read. But his relationship with her, same thing. Like very close. Like he puts his like fist on her cheek, and then she like grabs his hand, like kisses his fist like he's the prince or something. Like it was just very awkward. So she's got a very close relationship with the adults around her, like the older men. Speaking of adults, are these characters supposed to be 18? Are they? Because they look like they're my age. They look like they're in their mid-20s. There's no fucking way. I could pass for 18 maybe, not them. Are they in college? I know they say it's like an academy, but I'm very confused on that. Is this a college or is this a high school? Because there's no fucking way that these kids are high school students. There's no way. Absolutely not. And then, for some reason, they thought it was necessary to actually show the electricity going between the teacher and the student. He like puts his finger up to him, and we see like the bolt of. Wow, it was so cartoonish and so unnecessary. Then we find out that she was in a car accident, Virginia, and has memory loss. She had brain surgery, and they actually hired an actual brain surgeon to do this scene with the fake brain and everything, which looks cool. Like it's a very realistic looking lobotomy. Kind of reminded me of Saw 3, my favorite Saw movie. The biker guy who steals her panties the next day just randomly reveals that it was him. Like, oh, by the way, here's your panties I stole. Haha. It's like, how did you expect her to react? And then he gets killed the next scene. So it's like, yeah, you deserved it. He has like a long scarf on, and he's working on his bike. The wheel's spinning, and then the killer just walks up, takes his scarf, throws it into the wheel, and like takes it and like pulls him in. And then she like pulls the throttle, like pushes on the gas, and it just starts chewing up his face. We don't get to see it, but still, it's a cool idea. After the tire kill, we get Alfred. We learn about Alfred's amazing Tom Savini like effects that he can do. He has like a fake head, and I like how it's a real head, like it's the actual actor sitting there, and then once he like goes to pull the eyeball out, it's a fake head. So it's just kind of funny. So yeah, that kind of is like foreshadowing the end twist. So then we get the bench press kill. Again, cool on paper, the idea of this kill. Poor in execution because it's ridiculous. All right, this guy, he's been working out to the point where he's very strong. Like he knows how to lift weights. He's been lifting weights for a long time. He knows that if you're ever struggling, you should just roll it down your chest, push it to the side, or throw it behind you. There's nothing behind. Like this bench system he has is in the middle of his bedroom. It's in a very odd space. Throw it behind you. What was he thinking? He's just like, oh, put the thing back. Throw it behind you. That makes no sense. The worst you'll do is maybe like hurt your shoulders when you throw it back, if that, or anything. Like she's just like, no. And then she just walks around, drops the dumbbell plate, the barbell plate, like poof, right on his crotch. And then he just drops it right on his throat. So he basically just crushes his throat. It would have been cool if it like took his head off. I'm not sure how that would happen. If his head was maybe hanging off of the bench, maybe. Then probably would have snapped it off. Something cool. I like that the killer, after that kill, she sets up this trap behind the door, like a Home Alone trap that would kill someone. She has like a barbell, all the weights on it behind the door, so when the girlfriend walks in, it like falls over. It was supposed to like crush her and kill her. But she survives. She steps right out of the way. So then we see this one guy who's like the prankster, the soccer player guy. He's burying one of the scarves. So it's like setting him up as a red herring. And then he finally gets like a date, I think, with Virginia. And his idea of a first date is going to the church. That sounds like fun. And they go up to the bell tower. They go right underneath the bell. And he's like, wouldn't it be fun if I just cut the rope? And then he just starts acting all sinister like. He like grabs the knife and he's like blocking the exit, just staring at her creepy. Like, and then she like has conveniently one of her like blackouts where she just wakes up the next day, doesn't know what the fuck happened. So now we as the audience are like, what happened to that guy? What did he do? Is he the killer? Did she kill him? There's blood at the church. Then you find out later on that, oh, he just let her walk out of there. She forgot all about it. And then he went to cut the rope. He cut his hand. That's why there's blood. But then like the whole school the next day before we find out that he's still alive, he's missing along with all these other people. Like he's pulling these pranks while like 3 of his friends are missing. There's people missing, presumed dead. I mean, they could be dead. And he's pulling pranks. I think he's cheating on his girlfriend with going with Virginia to the bell tower. I think he's cheating on this one girl. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to the relationships. They were, I don't know. But inappropriate timing for this guy's prank. Like he's missing. Yeah, I think there's this girl that's crying about him. Like, they think that, Alfred or whoever is missing too. She's like all upset. So he's like cheating on her by going on that church date with Virginia and then making his girlfriend also think that he's dead. And then while everyone's, scared, like there might be a killer on the loose, we got like 3 missing kids. He's now pulling another prank on Virginia while she's just conveniently the only one in the library. Like everybody flees the library to go look at the scarf and skull that's buried outside just so that he could do one last, scare prank on Virginia. He like drops from the 2nd floor of the library right in front of her. Like he's like a dead body in Friday the 13th, just falling into place on cue like they always do. He just like drops like head first, risking like hurting himself very bad. And then he's just like laying there. And then when she goes to run around his body, he like grabs her. He's like, ha, I'm still alive. This is what happened last night. You blacked out. You went away. I cut my hand. Like, you're an asshole. It's like, this guy needs to die. And I'm glad he does. I think that was the one that got, no, he doesn't get the shish kebab kill. He gets some other kill. I forget. So then this other girl, who I think was the girlfriend of the prankster, so I guess I see why they're together now, because now she's pranking all her friends, but the only one that gets scared or is affected by it is Virginia, because she's the only one seeing this prank, and that's her faking her death like she's drowning. Like she's like in the background, like floating down, like trying to scare them, like, I'm just drowning, I'm dead. And she's the only one that sees her and then runs away, panicked. It's just like, all her friends are dicks. They're just constantly like faking their deaths, pranking her, scaring her shitless. So then Alfred, he follows Virginia to her mother's grave and creepily sneaks up on her, like walks right up to her silently, doesn't say a thing, and then slowly reaches into his pocket. Like, this scene is only played out this way for the audience so that we can be like, oh my God, is he the killer? Is he going to pull out a knife? And then, who we think is Virginia, turns around and stabs him right in the gut with like, garden shears. And his guts were supposed to fall out. Like we see his guts later on kind of hanging out of his stomach, but we don't get to see it because of the MPA. But he was just pulling out a flower. He was being so creepy. So yeah, he basically got killed for being a creep. So then the next kill, I think, was the shish kebab one. Yeah. She takes her date home, and then she's like feeding him shish kebabs, and then she just stuffs it right down his throat, which is cool. It's the poster of the movie. It's the kill we've been waiting for. Wish we could have gotten an extra couple of seconds there, see it go out the back of his head. But yeah, that's a dangerous food to eat. I've never eaten a shish kebab in my life, and I'm not about to start. So, and then we see the accident on the bridge, the flashback to that. And I like how they show it hit the water like 5 times. The first 4 times we see it hit the water, it lands, belly side up. And then the 5th time, it's like the roof that is facing up. So it's the opposite. which is just poor editing. So then she sees her dead friend, who ends up being the killer. She sees her body in her bathtub. But then, like, a couple seconds later, when the doc shows up, she's gone. So, was she really there? That's my question. Was she really supposed to be there, or was that her mom? I think that was that was her friend who's the killer. I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, so I guess her friend's just like faking her death at that point so that she's no longer a suspect. I don't know. But yeah, like we find out Anne, who's the killer, her car's missing. And then she's like, oh my God, I saw her body in the bathtub. See, it makes sense. Her car's missing. And then like the cops say like Anne's parents said that Anne's parents reported her missing. She only has one parent because we find out later on that she just has a dad. Her mom moved away. Like she doesn't see her mom no more. Her mom split up with her dad, abandoned the family. So we basically got the plot of Scream here, where Billy Loomis is upset because his mom left him, and that's exactly what we get here. And her mom left her because her dad was sleeping with Virginia's mom. So they're half sisters. But she keeps calling her sister instead of half sister, which I thought was odd. So it confused me. I was like, wait, are you sisters or half sisters? We see that the mom got dug up and the doc gets killed with the fire poker, and there's like a lot of blood, like more blood than necessary. I mean, I'll take it, but it was just unrealistic. Like he gets hit in the back of the head with the fire poker, and it's like a bucket of blood hits the door. It's like, okay, whatever. We get another flashback where we find out that the mom was like hell-bent on her daughter being popular and having all these friends at her birthday party. And when she finds out that everybody's at this other girl's birthday party, whose dad is the guy that she's been fooling around with, she's like, oh, hell no, get in the car, we're going to that party. And she's being completely reckless. Like, this is a terrible mom who's driving like a fucking moron. She's been drinking, I think. And then she stops on the drawbridge right in the middle. Like, right where the thing goes up. So it's like, why? Like, you could have stopped before, you could have stopped after, you could have hit the brakes, the gas right after, but she hits the brakes, stops in the middle, and then as it's slowly going up, that's when she's like, oh, maybe I should try putting in the reverse or something. It's like, you should have done that immediately. You're being stupid. So I guess because of the mom dying, Anne's mom found out about, what Virginia's mom was doing with her husband, left, and so therefore Anne spent the next 4 years pretending like she was Virginia's best friend, and because she knew that she had like amnesia, she didn't remember what the hell was going on that night, so it was convenient for her. She's like, all right, I'll pretend like I'm your friend for 4 years. Why 4 years? Why not just kill? Like, if you're pissed off at her, like, when did this revenge plot start? I don't know. So she spent the next 4 years just to, at one point, kill her friends. Not Virginia's friends, her friends. Like, those were the kids that were at Anne's party 4 years previous. And then it's because of Anne that Virginia is even friends with those people. Because, like I said, they were at Anne's party. They weren't at Virginia's party. She's only friends with them now because of Anne. Like, she's the connection. She's the link between them. But now she's punishing all her friends, killing them one by one. For what? Just not to frame her, because her plan in the end is to kill Virginia. She flat out says that. Like, here's this party that you wanted 4 years ago. I'm giving it to you now, but they're all dead, and now they get to watch you die. I was like, no, they can't watch her die because they're fucking dead. You should have killed her first, and her only, if that's who you're really mad at. Killing all of them was just extra cannon fodder that didn't need to happen and was not necessary. Why are you killing your friends who had nothing to do with that shit at all? So that makes no sense. It's actually kind of irritating me the more I think about it. Unless you can explain it to me. Am I missing something? Like, she's like, here's the party that you wanted 4 years ago that your crazy fucking mom got herself killed, and my mom to leave my dad over. Like, here it is. Here's what you wanted, and now I'm gonna kill you in front of them. And she also kills her dad, and the dad, he dies thinking that his daughter was the killer. He doesn't get to know that it was Anne. So yeah, it's just like, I don't get it. Like, you're killing your friends for what? You're not framing her. there's like her goal here is to kill Virginia, not to frame her. But that's actually what ends up happening here, because we get this very quick anticlimactic death of Anne. Like she goes to stab Virginia. Virginia grabs a knife, stabs Anne in the gut, and she drops dead immediately, which is impossible. I don't care how big the knife is, or how far it goes in. If you get stabbed in the gut, I don't think you're gonna drop dead immediately like you would want to. She dies, and then Virginia ends up actually being framed. Like the cop comes in, he's like, "What have you done?" Because she's just sitting there with all these dead bodies. So yeah, she's gonna get framed. But that wasn't the goal. And it doesn't make sense that Anne was looking like her, like wearing the same outfits as her, talking like her somehow, which is impossible. And another thing that's impossible is, of course, the Mission Impossible face mask thing. Like, yeah, literal face mask, the whole face. And when she takes it off of her, it's like a thin layer. It's not like a mask that you put over, like it's thick or anything. Like, no, it's very thin. It's skin tight. You would, like, they have the same bone structure. Get the fuck out of here. And she's wearing like a wig too. I like how when she first walks out with the birthday cake and she's singing like "Happy Birthday" to me, which is actually a pretty cool scene. It's like the best scene in the movie. It's very iconic. It's creepy. You can see that Anne, who's dressing up and looking like Virginia, is wearing only like this white dress, and she's wearing like no pants or anything. Like, but then later on, when she's revealed, she takes like the dress off and she has like a blue sweater. She has like jeans on. It's like, no, you were not. You weren't wearing that. So it's just, yeah, I know. It's just stupid. Like, it's little stupid things that you just have to look past. But I'm gonna talk about it because that's what I do here. So yeah, it's like, but you're not framing her, but yet that's not your goal. But you want to look like her? Like, why? What's the purpose? There's no purpose to looking like her, acting like her, if you're just going to kill everybody you interact with. It's not like she does crazy shit and then lets people see her and run away with that information. Like, oh my God, look what I saw Virginia do this. Nobody lives long enough after seeing Virginia. They get killed. So that just made no sense. Why dress like her? Why look like her, talk like her, if you're not trying to frame her? But that's what ultimately ends up happening, like I said. And then another thing, what the hell is up with that blonde girl at the cemetery just standing there in the rain? She's holding a birthday present that says like "Happy Birthday, Virginia," and she's just like so shocked, like she saw death itself, and it's just like she's just sitting there not saying the damn word. Like, who was that? Was that the prankster's girlfriend? The girl faking her drowning? Like, who was that? Why was she just standing there? She does nothing. Oh, so, no, she's new in town, so it's not like she's been friends with her for 4 years, like plotting and scheming for 4 years or something. Like, I think they say like she just moved back. So that explains why now. Like she's doing this now on her birthday this year because now she's back in town, and she's like, "Oh no, bitch, you don't come back here. All right, I'm gonna kill all my friends, and then I'm gonna kill you." But yeah, now I know why she chose that year to do it. So I guess that makes sense. She's new. She just came back. Why didn't she let the dad in on the motive? I guess it's because, yeah, she's not mad at the dad. I guess she's mad at the mom who's already dead. So yeah, but she kills the dad anyways. He didn't deserve it, but none of her friends did either. So I'm talking way too long about this movie. But yeah, this ending twist needs to be discussed because I need some answers. I wanted to talk about it in full length. Now the other two endings that I forgot to mention, that I said I was going to talk about at the beginning of my review, and I almost didn't talk about them at all. But the other two endings that were originally written was one that had no twist at all. It was just going to be Virginia as the killer. Yeah, I guess it was just going to be very obvious. And then the other twist ending was that the ghost of Virginia was going to possess her and do the killings while she was blacking out. So every time she blacked out, like at the church and at the cemetery, she would black out, her mom would take over, and then she would kill. So that would make more sense, actually, if the mom was killing all those, friends that wouldn't, hang out with her daughter. Like that makes more sense then and killing her own best friends 4 years later. So yeah, those were the two other endings that I forgot to talk about. So there you go. But anyways, now that that's all done, let's quickly get my little awards over with. My favorite kill in this movie is the bike kill, because that douchebag deserved it for stealing the panties, and I really like the idea behind it. And the worst kill in this movie is Virginia's dad, who just gets his throat slit, and he's not the first guy to get his throat slit in this movie, so that's lame. And the cutest chick in this movie is that blonde girl who's just standing in the rain later on. And the clap award for best scene in this film is that iconic scene towards the end when Virginia's singing Happy Birthday to Me, carrying the birthday cake, and she has that whole dinner table of dead bodies just sitting around. Awesome stuff. Very creepy, atmospheric. Love it. That's my thoughts on Happy Birthday to Me. Sorry this went on way longer than I thought it would. I thought this would be like a 20-25 minute review at best, but I think we're pushing 40. So let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments below. If you're even still here listening to my nonsense and rambling, I know I talk way too long, but let me know what you thought about this movie. And as always, if you like what you've seen and you want to see more, hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.